Just waking up, we have breaking news to tell you. A jury of 6 women cleared George Zimmerman of all charges late last night. But following such a high-profile, heated case, how will these jurors go on, and will they remain anonymous? Joining us now to weigh in is jury consultant Mary Griffitts. Hi, Mary.
Hi, good morning.
First, let me just start with your reaction. What did you think when you heard the not guilty verdict read?
You know, from a lawyer's standpoint, I agree that this was probably the right verdict. But from a jury consultant point, I understand how hard this must have been for the jurors to come to this sort of high-profile case, big verdict. They gave it 16 hours plus to render this decision. So that tells me, plus the additional question that they posed, that they went through this sort of in a methodical way.
Agreed. This was not easy for them. You don't take 16 hours if you went in with already, a preconceived notion of how it was going to go. Meanwhile, as we've been talking about, these were 6 women. 5 of them were mothers. This was a 3-week-long trial. Obviously, their families know who they are. Probably their friends know who they are. And probably their neighbors noticed that they were missing for 3 weeks. So will it be possible for these 6 jurors to remain anonymous?
I know that the defense had made the motion for the cooling off period to give those jurors that 6 months where their information was not going to be disclosed to the media. This is now juror choice, whether they want to reach out to the media to sort of explain their process. They don't have to do that. Would we love as public to sort of know why, how they went through each of these elements? Absolutely. But do they have to? No.
And in your experience as a jury consultant, do they want to tell their story in general? Do they come forward?
I think that there are probably 1 or 2 people who would like to speak, and those are the people who were excused, the alternate jurors. Often in jury research, what I find is the alternate jurors will come back first because they didn't get to deliberate, but they also have sat through that trial, heard all the information. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them did not come out and sort of give their feedback because it's the time that they can.
And as you said, wouldn't it be helpful in healing to hear from the jurors about how they got to this point? Because what we've heard, we have the luxury of having all sorts of legal experts on our couch, and we've heard that if you followed the letter of the law, Zimmerman had to be found not guilty. But of course, there's so much emotion. Wouldn't it be helpful to the public to hear from the jurors what they went through in the deliberating room?
I believe that absolutely, and I think it's sort of healing for the jurors as well. When I do post-trial interviews with jurors, they often say, when people are going to look at me and question me about my verdict, I do want to have the opportunity to say, this is the evidence that I looked at, and this is the law as I understood it. And since self-defense will be such a paramount issue for this case, as it obviously was, their interpretation of what self-defense was for them, how they found it justified in this case. I think it would be very, very important for the public to understand that.
I agree. We've allowed now victims to make victim impact statements, and those have gone a long way towards understanding and healing. And it would sort of be helpful to have a jury impact statement, particularly in these high-profile cases. But Mary Griffiths, we really appreciate your expertise throughout this trial. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.